Hey, how are we all doing? I just wanted to share some thoughts here on a couple of practices that I know about and practice sometimes, but sometimes not. And I definitely realize the difference in between the times that I do and the times that I don't. And I'm not saying that I perfect these by far, no, but they are tools that have really helped me move through things on both sides of the spectrum, whether it be positive experiences and negative experiences. We're constantly being bombarded with events and situations and stressors of life that our mind and our consciousness takes on, that it takes discipline to carve out our own time and our own feedback loop of positivity and things that we enjoy. So one thing that really helps out, especially when we're getting really busy, throughout our days, is developing a joy list. Like, what are the things that we can do in a 10 to 15 minute period of time that would elevate us, that would make us feel more alive, more connected. And it could be something as simple as listening to some of your favorite music. Now, also, your favorite music can always be the same. You're constantly moving and growing, so even your taste in music can be changing with that, or at least the different songs that you're listening to. But it doesn't just need to be music. It could be cooking. It could be spending time with family, walking in nature. Uh, you know, different things, and they do tend to change. They'll always be changing because even it's not just having that same set of 10 things. If you don't change them every so often, add a new five, remove five, and keep that sense of novelty going, you'll feel like you'll be getting into a rut. Or you'll just stop going to the joy list because it's not working. And the whole purpose of a joy list is, when we're like in that hecticness, in that busyness, especially after vacations, getting back into the work mode, and and work should be enjoyable. By the way, like you should be, doing what's lighting you up, and as much as possible. And again, like finding those 15 minutes to do that. This is something that you know, many different teachers and coaches talk about, and physical activity is a large part of it. A nice little trick also is like a trampoline. Trampolines are fun to have, especially for kids. But like as an adult, if you ever tried jumping on a trampoline just for like 2 minutes, it really gets your blood going and circulates things through, and you just feel elevated quickly, and it shakes off that energy, that you may have. And sometimes, even just like when you've been stagnant, when you've been working in the office, and you don't have time to go for a run, just get up, like do some jumping jacks, like move, dance, move that energy off your body, get it off, and you'll feel definitely lighter. Just like that random jerkiness of the body will move things around. So there's several different things a person you can do, from like movement, dancing, singing, talking to a friend, screaming from the top of your lungs, meditating, going for like maybe just doing 20, 30 push-ups, just putting these small things on a list, like what boosts you in those times. Now, it's best to have it shorter than 10 minutes so it could be accessible. Maybe even 5 minutes would be better. And that's what could be made onto your list. So a list of items that are less than 10 minutes that you can do that will elevate you. So you can just go jump back to that, like what can I do now? What do I feel like doing now? You just choose from the list. And then always update that list. Don't just stick with the same list. Make sure to update it once a month at least. And another thing, so that's on the positive side. And there's, on the other side, we're always going to be facing negativity. But not just negativity. We're going to be facing events that, especially now, that really, really get us angry. Sometimes beyond a reasonable point. It could be from a loved one, it could be a friend, it could be a situation, it could be political, it could be anything. And when we feel that, like that, boom, that inner fire just building inside us, and like we just want to crack the whip back at the source of that frustration, we should ask ourselves why that external source is angering us, because essentially it's a trigger. There's something there that it's binding to that we haven't taken the time to look at within ourselves. And it's quite difficult to do. So the first step to do this, it's called dealing with a trigger. I'm sure you're aware of it, but I just want to go over this again because it's so, so, so important, especially during this sensitive time where emotions are heightened and we're going through everything here, and we feel like it's a non-stop barrage of events. So when you feel that surge, that fireball in the belly or chest, don't react. Like that, if you react and just let it out, then you're missing that opportunity to see what it's really about. You know, if it's coming from a person and you're in a conversation, just say, hey, I've hit my emotional capacity. I'm gonna take 20 minutes and we can talk about this later. It's always best to just say, hey, I can't talk about this anymore. I'm like, you've hit my limits, you've crossed your boundaries or whatever. Stop, walk away, and then come back to it later. But when you walk away, you know, maybe move a little bit, move the energy a little bit, but like try to go inside and like ask yourself why you're angry. The first thing would be like, okay, because they did this, or said this. But then ask yourself, why does that anger you? Because, and you'll get an answer, because they think they can do this. But as long as it's them, you know, you want to get deeper than to the finger pointing out, because it'll always come back to a finger pointing in. Because it'll be something that they're saying that essentially takes you back to a part of yourself that you're not allowing to be, or you're not honoring a part of yourself that you're not honoring, whether it's being in a situation that you don't want to be, that you think you need to be, or a work situation where there's a part of you, you know, you don't want to be there, and you're just not honoring that part of you. So whenever that comes up, you're like, ugh, until you say no more. And it's not the easiest thing to do, but like just find that space where you go inside and you ask yourself, why am I angry? Let's say a person is dancing randomly in the street and that for some reason angers you. And you're like, why? Because like, oh, they're being silly. Why are they being silly? Or they're asking for attention, or whatever stories that we're judging them with. And then why is that bothering you? Because like, you know, they're being annoyed about, like, why them in your eyes being annoying, bothering you? Because they are doing something that annoys you. But why does it annoy you? Because I feel like I want to do that. Or you find interesting answers. Like you'll feel like, oh, I want to do that. Then why don't you do that? Because I feel like I can't. It's wrong. Because I was told it was wrong. Why were you told it was wrong? Or when were you told it was wrong? Oh, when I was growing up as a child, maybe my friends or my parents told me not to be a certain way that I wanted to be. And I was shamed into thinking a certain way. And you think, oh, okay. So now you start going back to where this first thought form took place in your head, when you first accepted it, when someone presented a thought form to you. No, this is how things are, this is how it should be. And you're like, okay. And then you just put it in your file cabinet. And then you build many, many other files on top of that. So whenever we get angered by something outside, it's poking at a bottom file cabinet that we might have the chance to review and see if it's still relevant or not. And a lot of things have been put onto us that are not necessarily good for our soul, our highest expression, for our most true happiness. And was that proper grammar? I don't think so, but we'll go on. And so once we find that, and let's say in that particular example of a person dancing in the street, where we maybe wanted to be silly and dancing in the street, not all the time, but maybe sometimes, and you feel that, okay, I see where I was told not to do that. And once you're there and you're just thinking about it, you can rewrite that file and say, okay, it's okay for me to go and dance or sing in the street if I want to. And I don't need to judge someone that's doing that. So it just goes down to like going down to those triggers. Now sometimes people will be doing things that anger you. Oh, excuse me. But it's helping you draw your boundaries of your sovereignty. Like, what is your area? What is your business? And what is not? So sometimes people overstep their bounds, and you have the right to get angry. But usually, that type of anger, it's not like so large and eruptive where you just want to explode, unless it's continuous, one time after another, and then it becomes a thing where you need to explode because you're not honoring your own boundaries. You're not drawing the line where a person can impose themselves. So, and these are like different things that that can go into just helping assure that you have your space for growth, and that you're doing the growth as well, because the growth happens mostly through the negative experiences, through the challenges, to make you look at the different aspects of yourself. And whenever you feel that mini explosion inside, that's where you need to look. Go inside, take some space, go look inside. What's happening? What are you putting up with? What is the message? And just ask yourself why. And each answer you receive, ask yourself, well, again, why? And you just drill down, and you can figure it out easily, or somewhat easily. Just be patient with yourself and the answers, and give yourself time to cool down a little bit to get to that point. So, joy lists and dealing with triggers, I think that's enough for today. So, thanks for listening.